This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
There's never like one light bulb moment. There's like a series of little insights or clues as I'm trying to develop a concept for a new category. When you get into that kind of state of flow around a concept where it quickly becomes a whole idea really, really fast, then I know like, all right, I've got a winning idea.
So I have to start here because I just had a woman named Jody Wellman on my show. She's the CEO of a company called 4,000 Mondays. And I learned I have around 1,560 Mondays left to go. What a great place to start.
Based on how many years would you need to live?
78.
Okay, 70. Oh, come on. You could do better than that.
Oh, no, I'm just going to stay. Look, I hope so, but let's just play it safe here. Okay.
No.
So
Be optimistic.
I'd love to start with you is, and first of all, it's so good to see you. It's been since episode 21 since we last had you on the show, but are you enjoying life, including all that comes with it, the aging process? I think I read somewhere it's been over 25 years now since you started Method out of like a pretty small apartment in San Fran, and here you are.
Isn't that crazy? It's like the turn of the century when we started that business. And it's flying by. I think that's like the biggest stress point in life right now. I don't know if you feel that. It's just flying by way too fast. The older you get, the faster it moves. It's almost like your battery on your iPhone. The younger people out there where you're like, oh, I got plenty of battery left. And all of a sudden it goes from like 50% to 20% like that. You're like, what the hell happened?
Charge this thing in as fast as possible, right? I know, like even Y2K, like that was basically, remember we were all terrified about Y2K? That's kind of where Method was like in year 3. You did, if I remember, well, this was after that, but like I think it was 07-ish. You take Method and wow, what a ride. That's $100 million in revenue, I think in 07. And I guess I should take a step back. Like, what I've always appreciated about you is you've been very generous with your time to me, and you've stayed approachable. But I think when you like read your bio, it's like serial entrepreneur, investor, advisor. And it's pretty amazing what you said your battery's at 30% now. But
and dad, I'll take dad as the most important title.
Well, that's
as well as a good husband. Trying.
Well, this is like get me caught up to speed on that. Like, what's going on? How you're a good husband. So how long have you been married now?
Jill and I have been together 9 years, but we've officially COVID said it was really hard to propose during COVID. So we've been married. We're coming up on 3 years of actual marriage, but 9 years together.
And you've got 3 teenagers in the house.
Yep, a princess and 2 raccoons.
All right. What are the ages, if you don't mind me asking?
18, 15, and 13, with the first one off to NYU in the fall, which we're super excited for.
I'm just curious, just to put a pin in this last combo. Do you feel like you should have a kid going off to college?
I feel like I should be going off to college still. I keep telling her, it's like, I'm just going to show up and get a guest professor role there. I want to go back, right? It's like undergrad was like yesterday, it feels like. That's 5 years of your life.
In the spirit of staying curious and being a lifelong learner, I think you've done a really good job of that. And when I try to be prepared for these chats, I know it's been a while since we chatted, but like you always have this sort of like, that's the period you're supposed to be learning. Like you've got to stay focused and just lock in and stay curious in those arenas. And let's like major cap tip to all the stuff that you're putting out into the world. It's not just Method. It's since we last left off, there's OLLY Nutrition, there's Welly Health. You've got Cass Jewelry. You're working with Serena Williams on Will Perform. What have you been doing the last 5 years, Eric?
Just making stuff. I love building. It's energy giving though. When you're doing something you really love and you're creating, it's energy giving more than it pulls from you.
I think I should know this, but Are you still up in San Fran, or did you end up moving to Minneapolis?
No, I just got back from Minneapolis last night. I'm there quite a bit. Love spending time with Target. No, we're based here in San Francisco, but we're bi-coastal curious. We spend summer out on Shelter Island in New York.
All right, so you're jumping around. What is it that's I mean, you're juggling away here. You've got lots of labels, like you said. You're a dad, you're you're an entrepreneur that happens to be a serial entrepreneur, and you're a husband. So if there's a pie chart of your time, what takes what?
It's of the day. I mean, I think a lot about you know, especially going through a divorce and being a split household, like it really helps you see the importance of time with your kids when it becomes structured like that. And we have a week on, week off schedule. And so I don't miss anything for the kids and every minute I can. And on days they're here, I finish work early. And it's a really good forcing mechanism to make you a great parent. So that's always the top. I know it's a cliche, but especially as they get older, I don't miss a minute with them. And especially summers, I'm able to really invest a lot of time together. We're a big ski family, so most weekends we're up in the car and on a chairlift. So it's a lot of quality time. And then as far as like how I split my professional time, I'm a really early riser. So I don't know if you found that too. It's just like that's 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Like that's gold. That's like the golden hours. Like just be a boost for your day. I don't work as late anymore. I find I don't have the energy. And again, I want to be focused on other things. And I really don't try to get balance in my days or my weeks, more months and quarters. So we just went gorilla trekking in Rwanda and kite surfing in Mozambique, and was a great break. And now we're back in the grind. And I find that is just so much more sustainable than trying to, each week build out that balance of time. I think the trick of being a serial entrepreneur and working on a lot of projects is you get to follow your energy because you have range of work, right? And there's some days or moments or hours you feel really creative and that's giving you energy to focus on a much more creative exercise. And there's other moments you're like, I am so brain dead. If I could just delete old files on my computer on a flight at midnight with a glass of wine watching a bad rom-com, so I find I follow my energy a lot when you have got really great range of work. And it kind of tends to help keep you stay in motion.
I'm an energy person. I don't know if I'm an empath by definition,
Do you
but
do people say, do you give people, you always strike me as somebody you give energy. You're not a drain.
oh no, I hope so. I mean, I think that's the whole like you try to be intentional. I think there's three types of people in the world, right? There's the gain energy people, there's the drain energy people, and there's the maintain energy people. And I
Hmm.
don't think maintain is a great place to be if I'm this sort of neutral, right? So I always try to body jump into the other person's shoes and be thoughtful and understand what life is like for them, which kind of comes from the world we both came from. And I'm curious if you smile when I say, well, you came from advertising, or do you cringe when I say you came from advertising?
Oh, advertising is the foundation of everything I know. It's where I really understood it. Like, how do you take a deep consumer insight or motivation and translate it to great creative execution? And like, that's even the fact, like, even the culture. And for those of you listening, like advertising, especially like up through the 90s, was like, if you're marketing, that was the place to be. It was sexy. You got great challenges. You had the rush of a pitch. I mean, classic kind of Mad Men, like was the end of that era of that model. And you also under one roof, you work with so many different personality types, from the analytical media planner to the copywriter to the account person. And it really helped me understand the importance of team dynamics, the importance of culture, because your people were your only assets, even office design and the way you would design an office very intentionally. So it'd make an impression on a client, but also in a way that really led to great work for your team. So now everything about me is advertising out of the 90s.
And I wish it was a little closer than the 90s because I think that the business has, look, there's definitely still times where companies call it courageous. Sometimes it's courageous leadership. Other times it is courageous ideas. It's still that. I find that to be an addiction. It's an addiction that I'm at peace with that I have. But I wish it was in the 90s. The business has changed so much. So, in the spirit of not rabbit holing down that convo, I am curious kind of go back to the top, the 4,000 Mondays idea. Let's just say right now,
Why
why Mondays? I don't know. Let's
I
call
think
her
a
in.
Wednesday.
We can ask her the question. Um, that's a good question to ask her. Let's just say, like you said, the battery eventually gets to 6%, 2%, 1%. I know you're supposed to be gaining energy from me, but humor me for a minute here.
It's
Okay.
like you're really bringing me down right now.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, maybe not. So, like, let's talk about the obituary. Let's talk about what you want that thing to say. Have you ever run the exercise of
No,
what?
I don't. I struggle with I just don't see a lot of upside in death. I really struggle. In fact, we were on a trip in the Maldives. It was so beautiful. And I said to my wife, I think I would like my ashes spread here someday. She's like, I've never heard you acknowledge you might die someday. But okay, for the purposes of this exercise, the obituary.
Yeah. What does it say? And also, here's the other thing: pick the paper, which somehow has newspapers alone. Is a guy that, can find a way to short circuit a category. Somehow they're the cockroaches of business. Newspapers seem to be living. So newspapers are around. We'll say it's 40 years from now. So what's the paper? One gets to feature Eric, and we're humoring ourselves that it's around. And what do you want the lead to be?
Well, first of all, the gravestone, I want it to be a nice magenta pink. I want it to be like, it's like graveyards are so like dull. How fun, like just to see a grave, there's one that's just like hot magenta, like just a burst of optimism. We'll go paint your gravestone for you, whatever
Right.
color you want. Like just we'll put a unicorn on that. Don't worry. That's extra. I think the paper would be the Detroit News, where I'm from. Like kind of going back to the origin story.
I like it.
I think of myself a lot of like I try to bring joy to the world and I express it through really mundane products. And
Hmm.
I really try to bring almost like this inner kid approach to places that are all too serious. So the headline would probably be Joy Maker moves on.
I love that.
That's
And
great. To his next great adventure.
I love that. And it's real. And also just sitting here going back to your comment about energy, like I feel like you're at peace right now. Like you feel like you're enjoying the roller coaster. It's not too crazy. I don't sense a lot of fear.
It's
Is
Friday. It's helping. And
Oh,
it's a little
Friday.
if
Touche.
it's
That's fair.
Tuesday, you might get a little bit of like but no, I think you're right. Yeah, I would say that's the rhythm, right? Too. And you enjoy these moments where you're like, all right, it's a holiday Friday. I
I
get to
mean,
talk to you.
do you get to, oh man, do you feel when you have, like you said, I follow the energy and I try to stay focused on the energy. Do you have moments or spaces where you can't help but sort of, oh, right now that's a timeout and I'm reflecting back and like, oh my gosh, look at this kid from Detroit. And as a maker, you have brought purple unicorns like all over the place. Do you have moments where you can smile and appreciate and enjoy like your brain and of course the teams that you've surrounded yourself with are making these little moments?
Yeah, I had one yesterday. I had the opportunity to speak at Target in Minneapolis, and they did their first ever offsite where they brought together every single merchant at Target, senior leadership, so about 500 people, and I was their external keynote speaker, which scared the hell out of me too, because I could, in 30 minutes completely destroy 25 years of work of reputation if I screw this thing up. But I said to him too, of like, I built so much of my career off of Target's support. And, like many retailers, though, they've been incredible at giving me this stage to bring these products to life. But where we were doing the event was 2 blocks away where I was a planner at Fallon. And it definitely hit a full circle moment for me of how much of the skills I learned there that ultimately now I've brought all these products and brands into Target, and I'm sitting there telling my story to all of them. So that was definitely a moment for me. But no, I'm probably like you, like I'm pretty much focused on like first down, let's keep going. Then looking back, I definitely keep moving forward.
So I know you have all these, you're still juggling away, right? If you had to pick one, I know that's not fair, but like if you had, like, where's your energy at right now? Which of the startups that you're working on? I don't even know if you call it startup, businesses that you're working on.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not one in particular. It's kind of different projects within it. So like with Cast of like designing and building a store, like for me of like taking four wall, really having the opportunity to own the expression from everything from the playlist to the scent within the store to the fixtures, the light, just like creating that kind of sense of wonder when you walk into one of our stores. Like that for me is just incredibly exciting and energy giving. And I would pay to do that. I guess I am paying to do that because putting a lot of my own capital into it. So it's a fun train set for me to build. And then let's see, what are my other projects I'm really excited about? We just created the world's first Epsom salt stick. So it gives you the benefits of Epsom salt bath, but in the shower. And I think the part of the thrill of that right now is seeing the reviews coming in. And then when you've got a hit product like that, where it gets really, really fun is thinking about, okay, all the different sequencing of like, how do you take that insight of what's working and start blowing it out? One of the companies I'm working with, Ghetto Gastro and John Gray there, we're working on the 25 product pipeline right now and taking the insights. Okay, what worked, what didn't work? How do we build this into a new product pipeline? And also the way John thinks about his philosophy of everybody eats and bringing the word ghetto, into mainstream grocery aisles, like super fun challenge. And he's just like such a culinary and creative visionary. So I think with a lot of things I'm working in, Goodle's the mac and cheese on the board. I'm just that culture is it feels so at home for me of what we created at Method or OLLY, and just like this bright, optimistic, shining culture that believes it can do anything. And then you see that come through in the product. Like it looks like their personality on shelf. So I think with all of them, but I think the point I'm probably trying to make bigger is like I love the range. And that's how I innovate, right? So you could see this is working here. Can I apply it here? Ooh, I'm inspired by this. Oh shit, that didn't work. So like
Yeah.
I think that's where the range of being a serial entrepreneur gets really helpful.
And there's like almost too much in there to pick apart. I'm like, whoa, no, hold on, stop. I want to talk about that, So like, first of all, the naming, like what I love about it is you're so, and I don't want to come off as like, oh, Eric, but like
Oh,
you're
go
so
on.
good. No, please, please, right? Let's
We
talk
can talk
about
about all
death.
my failures if that
Let's talk
helps.
about death
It's a
again. Let's
lot
talk
of
about
them.
get back to death. No, like I really appreciate how intentional you are, and like when a name can sound like the movement, right? And plays to like it almost like is a hybrid of senses, like the mac and cheese Goodles, right? Or Will, I think I don't know if I just didn't figure it out till this moment, but you can't spell Serena Williams without Will. Like it was right there from the beginning. But courageous actually is not my favorite word. My favorite word is willing.
Hmm.
And right, are you willing to listen to someone else's point of view? And then are you going to will it through once we decide? Return on Courage, the other title that I thought was too narrow because it's too much. If I wasn't there to defend it, it would be a marketing book, was Willing Courage Brands. And I didn't see it.
That's terrible.
That's why I didn't go with that name. Right.
On its own, willing is good, but like willing and those are two, yeah,
Well,
big words that don't really.
I probably would have asked you your opinion anyway, but I like where the book landed. But I love what it means to will something through and be open to actually hearing someone else's perspective on it. And then
Naming is the worst part of a startup. Like everything's taken. Good luck with a URL.
uh,
It's so personal. And it's so much of a name is not the name itself. It's like the meaning you breathe into that name, the way you juxtapose it with the design, the identity. It's like a personality of a child. Like, I mean, we've all had family members who announce the name of their new kid, and we're all like, what? But we don't say that. And then 3 years later, you're like, oh, yeah, that name was brilliant because the
yeah,
personality of the child and the way it all comes together. I mean, look at Pottery Barn is probably arguably the worst name for a home company. Like, but it's how you bring it together. But for me, I can't name names. I've never come up with them, but I can spot them.
yeah. That's really interesting. What's that skill? What do you call that skill? Name spotter?
I think it's more broadly like I would say, like, I don't bear any gifts. Like I can't, if you look at everything we create, if you ask me to design something, I mean, my stick figure would be a stretch for me. So I think because I don't bear any, particularly any creative gifts, then I have to rely on the gifts of other people, which is probably what my gift is. And then also like there's times to be a creator and there's times to be a good editor. And I can step into that editing role and then be able to spot something and then amplify it. But I can't create it myself.
I mean, I think that's a huge acknowledgement. Like, I could tell you that, go back to this is an addiction, right? This idea world is an addiction. I felt like as our agency was growing, that I was getting further and further away from the thing I love the most. It didn't mean that's what I was best at, by the way. It was just the thing that I love the most. And I
Yeah.
felt I wasn't ready to retire from the making of the ideas. So like to hear you go, and if other people were here from my old team, they're like, Ryan, what you're best at is putting teams together. Like that's the gift that you brought us all together. And I'm like, no, I want my gift to be right. Fact.
Yeah.
So I need to learn that lesson still that you just shared.
But no, that's a huge, I also like the gift of my wife for my birthday got me a coach this last year who is somebody we worked through at YPO, Kaylee Clamp. Huge shout out. She is fantastic. She's written a handful of books and she helped me recognize that the gift of connector and connecting people and bringing people together. That's how you build a culture of a company, right? It's about assembling a team and that how much joy that gives me. And when I connect people, we throw like we'll be in New York, we'll often put together dinner parties with friends, people who don't know each other. And when I hear somebody met and they went off and did something great or became great friends, like that gives me such inherent joy. And so it gave me the confidence to go, it's not only a skill set, but it's also something that's really important to me in my life and to do more of it. And so like next week, I'm hosting a Target Innovation event where I'm bringing 12 funds together. And I look for these opportunities to really connect, to bring people together. And then, it may or may not have a positive impact on me. It doesn't matter because I just really enjoy doing it.
Yeah. No, those collisions, which is like one of my favorite words. When has it ever been a bad thing to bring good people together and give them the space to collide? I just don't see how that isn't
Usually
an
good
ultimate
things happen.
multiplier. Yeah.
Worst case,
All
it's a
right.
bad, worst case, it's just an enjoyable time together.
Which isn't a bad thing in a world full of a ton of stress right now, too. So almost an unfair question now that I know that you're like, please don't ask me to name something. All right. But if you're going to write your book right now, what's the name of the book?
The joy of blank. I'm really trying to I just did Simon Sinek's podcast with him who went into this area. Again, I love, and it's interesting too, because you never start out your career often saying you have to almost look back at and find those common threads and then figure
Yeah.
out how to amplify that. And there's like where I've had success in my career is where I'm able to express joy through the brands, the cultures, the products that I create. And where I failed is where either joy wasn't like we did this whole OTC line for Welly. Turns out you don't want to feel joy when you're sick. I thought you did, spoonful of sugar, right? But that's not the motivation that someone's really reaching for. And so I've seen it now consistently through my career. And I think we live in a world right now where there's just, I mean, it's always been a tough world, right? But unfortunately, these things bring it
Totally.
to us.
For those who are listening, he just held up his cell phone.
Yeah, 24/7 a day. And I've heard too, like humans are so good with dealing with problems that we can see and we can impact. But when we're constantly delivered problems from around the world and there's nothing we can do about it, the anxiety that drives in all of us. So I think more than ever, the world needs joy. And so I love this idea of writing a book around how we help people find joy in whatever they do, which is why the idea of leaving it blank, because it's how you define how you want to apply your joy. There's an authenticity to it too, because I think joyful people are the ones who create joyful things. I've always thought like products are just a souvenir of the culture, right? And that's why brands and products really reflect the personalities of their founders.
I also like that realization that joy has to be a part of the journey. It can't be like It can't be. And finally, I just gave 16 years of my life and I think I'm happy. Is this joy? It's like,
Totally.
oh, honor when there's joy in the process and the messy. And it's funny, one of the ahas on so this is 5 years for me on courage. So obviously there's joy for me on it, but I realized like a lot of the media or movies, they look at courage like a cherry on top at the end. When I'm like, no, you need courage in the middle. Like it's in the messy journey part where you need to be courageous, and you're scared. So there's fear in act one and there's courage in act two. And hopefully in act three my sense is that there's happiness. Like you've actually, if you're courageous on the journey and you go through it, I've never not been happy. And I'm just thinking about, you're right. I didn't realize if I go back and look at all the decisions I made, even when I was scared to move to New York City or, asking my wife to marry me or moving to San Diego and starting again, there's always been courage for me. I just didn't know it at the time.
That's interesting too, because it's like our society is so caught up on the end result right now. And courage, like joy, is really about the journey and embracing the journey. And I think more than ever, I mean, social media has made this much worse because usually what people are sharing or showing is like something that of achievement, the vacation they're on, that like, versus, it's hard to capture in social media or in a picture the journey.
But I
But
think
it
that
is that,
maybe
yeah.
that's the challenge, right? I mean, it's almost like I think what people are showing on social media, it's like some movies that say based on a true story. It's like not a true story, right?
Totally.
Not true, right? But to your point, keeping it messy and showing the base is sort of the key. Maybe this would be a great episode. So his first is going to college. Make sure you have joy on the journey. Don't be afraid to be courageous on the journey. This is an episode. I don't know if you want me to throw names in there. So I'll just say to Eric's oldest, enjoy the ride. And what an awesome city you're going to. If you're going to New York to NYU, I mean, tell me he's studying, he or she? She's going to study film or she doesn't know yet?
She's gonna do the Steinhardt School, so culture media. I'm dying to go there myself. Like when I saw her curriculum and class selection, I was like, oh, so good. It's interesting too because as a parent, and I'm sure you do this too, I rely on the growth mindset, not fixed. And even the way I talked about high school, I never focused on the end result. We go visit colleges and get excited about it and like reminder of what you're working for to unlock as many options as possible. But it was never about getting into the best. It was always about rewarding the work that went in and rewarding the journey along the way. And even as she goes off to school, I'm not talking about like, oh, it's how it's going to unlock your career or it's all about you are going to have the best 4 years. And it is such an expensive school. Please get done in 4 years. It is all about really like doing your best work and enjoying yourself in this really special time over the next 4 years of living in New York City in the village.
And report back, please. And report back everything you're learning, please. Right.
I'm gonna at some point try to be a guest lecturer to surprise her for one of her classes. And by surprise, I mean embarrass.
Of course. Yeah. Clear. Very intentional, which will be awesome. She's like, by the way, that will absolutely be the day she's not in class. And she won't know.
For sure.
You will have successfully done everything appropriately right. And she will have slept in, or who knows what benders she had.
Oh, as soon as I get her class list, I'm gonna email those professors and be like, hey, can I go in and give it up?
As a dad, what I really like about that, and it's cool to hear even at because teenage, they're still your kids, there were times. So I felt like my dad, he kind of had to figure it out on his own. So then when we showed up, my brother, who's older, we would hear all the time, if you were smart, you would do this. If you were smart, you would do that. If you were smart, you do this. And like, we didn't have context wasn't a kid
But
word.
The phrase is if you were smart. That's like such a fixed mindset.
So now what he meant was he was trying to give us an advantage that he never had, but I had a huge complex that I wasn't smart. And
I would too after hearing that all the time if you were. So I'm not.
So I remember later in life, over a couple of drinks, I had my liquid courage going, right? And I said, I honor that you were trying to give us the advantage that you never had.
Totally.
Right. But at the time, we just needed someone to like hold the ceiling on our childhood and protect this period of time. So this is a very long-winded way of saying even your advice of this is a 4-year window, go have a blast, learn, make friends. And I do think that's a big part of college is that I don't like saying the network, but like accessibility to very different types of people from all walks of life. Amazing time.
What's really amazing too is she's already over Snap and Instagram. There's like all these kids opt in. So she's already made a ton of friends. Like a uncomfortable number of guys have already reached out to her, like, hey, love your vibe. Like, it's interesting. They're all like, love your vibe. And so she's gonna show up on first day and know like half the school, which is crazy. I mean, we had to show up, knew nobody, and had to figure it out. And they're already like socializing, and she's got a
Just pulled
roommate.
a
She got
when I
by
was a kid.
her roommate or her already planning their dorm design. Like, I'm like, it's insane.
And her brand is like, I'm just thinking about it from who would be reaching out, like California kid, right? Like going to New York, very cool brand, very probably calm brand, in control brand. All right, let's talk about thrills for a minute. Let's pivot. When I read a lot of your articles, like the thrill of
Hmm.
this pursuit, and I want to be careful with this because I don't think you mean it like, come on, man, like dopamine drip. But there's a joy, to use your
Yeah.
word of. I think you wrote somewhere you were an entrepreneur at one point with no preneur, and that freaked you out a little bit. You needed to figure out that thing to invest your energy into. So, talk to me about like what you look for, like, and how do you? Is it a feeling where you're like, oh my goodness, that's the thrill. This is what I need to follow.
Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't know that I've done it multiple times. There's never, I mean, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, like there's never like one light bulb moment. There's like a series of little insights or clues that kind of start leading. But where it gets most interesting is like as I'm trying to develop a concept for a new category, when I start to form it and then it just flows. Where like, oh, then we call it this, we do that, when you get into that kind of state of flow around a concept where it quickly becomes a whole idea really, really fast, and then it's easy to think about how this would be brought to life. And then I know like, all right, I've got a winning idea. And when I find it's hard, it's wrong. But what's interesting, it's taken me a long time to figure that out because of course, like entrepreneurship is hard, startups are hard, it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard and it was easy, somebody would have done it already. But where things have not flown and been hard on the concept phase, and even the way the business starts going, like does gravity keep holding it down, or does like it start to take on a life of its own? It's been wrong. And I'm an optimist, so it's hard for me sometimes to recognize when it's harder than it really is. And I think you have to be a successful entrepreneur. And I'd rather be overly optimistic than hard to be a pessimist and try to do things differently and overcome all the challenges. It's really like finding that state of flow of an idea where it just starts to come. And I remember that with method when I started figuring it out. It's like, oh, and then of course the bottle shapes would be like this. And I look back at some of the work we've done with method and like we were younger then, so we took more risk but it was just so easy to generate ideas off of that.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to believe. Like, no one else is going to believe in your idea, and it's not even their fault. Like, they should be believing in their idea, or they have their own shit in their own head that they're probably trying to work through. So I understand that reality. But I will also say, and optimism is my number one core value. It's like it is by far my number one. I had read where I think you were raising on OLLY, and it almost terrified you at how easy it was on the raise to the point where you're like, okay, wait, I need to probably put some rigor in here or process in here to keep myself even and focused. And then that's not a pessimistic view, but like a, oh shit sort of view. So what rigor or what process did you create just to make sure? And obviously, I'm sure others were like, oh well, he did it in method. He'll probably just do it at Ollie Go here. I don't know if that's what really happened or not.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm like a big student of entrepreneurship, and I'm like the entrepreneur's entrepreneur. Like I love hearing entrepreneur stories, and am really looking for patterns. And one pattern I've seen a lot is called the sophomore slump, where you come off of your successful venture and you fundamentally, you get overly confident, and then your second one fails or really struggles. And what I also saw is like when we were raising capital for Method in the beginning, and you got to take like 100 meetings and just everybody beats you up on it. I saw there was actually real value in that exercise because it forced you to constantly get smarter and make your idea better with all that fee. As long as you weren't blindly going in, and you went into I always go to whenever I pitch anything, whether it's to a retailer or for money, I always go into improve myself, not prove myself.
I
And
like that.
so I'm trying to listen and learn. And then of course it makes you so much more effective at pitching because like, oh, this person is actually listening to me. They're coachable. And as I did that with Method, because we got so beat up, it forced us to make the idea sharper, stronger, better along the way. In OLLY, we didn't have the opportunity to do that. It was a lot of the same investors, and they really believed in us. We had great relationships. So it was very, very fast. And I knew that I was more insecure about it than investors were because I'm like, yeah, I've done that before, but I've never gone in and launched a vitamin brand. And certainly nobody's done it the way we're doing it. And so what I did is I always seek out honest feedback to any constituency I can. And I'm always in the early stage of whether you're a manufacturing partner or retail, I'm always asking, what do you think? No, honestly, what do you think? And one of my tricks is I'll always ask them point blank of like, all right, if there was 3 things you would do better, what would those 3 things be? And so you've got, because people don't want to, they always assume you must know better. And they also don't want to risk like ruining your dream. And so you've got to really seek out that negative feedback to make your idea stronger. So I think because I understood entrepreneurship and the risk of a sophomore slump, and then seeing we weren't getting the advantage of being beat up a lot to make our idea sharper, then I just tried to seek it out wherever I could to be really confident that we were doing the right thing.
I'm taking a ton of notes over here. I love improve myself, not prove myself. I think that it says more about me. Like it's a good check for me. I still am like a 48-year-old man, but in my head, I'm still like 11 years old.
Don't lose that. I think
It's
that's like the greatest thing as an adult to hold on to is that sense of inner child wonder and optimism
Yeah.
that it's beat out of us as we age.
That's a good book too, with all your free time. Right.
Maybe they'll be opening.
Right. All right. In the spirit of, I can't believe it's been 3 years since we jammed, and it's great to see you. Let's not wait another 1,000 days or however long it's been. You're always welcome on
How
the
many
show.
Mondays is that?
Oh boy, carry the 2. 150 Mondays ish, right? 106. So I think it's probably better for me just to give you the keys to close, right? In the spirit of joy, in the spirit of, and I think it's important. I should have probably, I'm laughing to myself. Someone that came out of the ad business, you're going to want to know the personas of the show. So here are the personas. I think one, you have a really curious listener, and especially someone who's made it to the 40th minute mark. Right? We're
Thanks
with
for
them on
hanging in
there.
there, listener. We appreciate it.
We really do. And stay curious, right? Like they're curious, they want to be better. I think we have that's sort of one persona. 2, it's probably someone who needs courage right now, personal life, professional life. There's a move. Maybe there's knowledge and faith, but there isn't action. Maybe there's fear. Where we get to play the role of the nudge. And then I also deeply honor the third persona, which is the Eric Ryan brand, and someone who probably wants to be a serial entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur and it's just looking to pick up a couple tips from the guy that's done this a few times. Right. So how many times, what number, what are you at?
6, I think 6 around right now.
Ish.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing, man. So I think those are the personas. So maybe, and this episode flew by. I'm not surprised. And thank you for bringing your usual optimistic self to the table. But why don't you kind of wrap us today?
Yeah, I think the subject of courage, I'll do 2 points. One is more emotional and one is more rational. So let's start with the rational one. I think so much about in moments in my life where I've had courage, it's because I broke it down to bite-sized little steps. And particularly like if you're a founder or seeking to start a company and you think about where you are sitting by yourself at a desk, maybe in your bedroom with nothing but a laptop, and you're imagining like what you want to go do, it is such a daunting exercise of how we're going to get there. So what I've always done is I break it down to bite-sized little steps. And with each step, like the courage just grows. And so, for example, with a startup, my process is like I develop a concept, I'll give it to a group of people, tell them to shoot holes in it. Come back, I use that. Okay, that gives me now the confidence to go a little further. Then from there, I'll create a prototype. I'll share it with people, get feedback. And then from there, I'm like, all right, we can do a little test it out. And so many people focus on starting a company. In the beginning, you just got to figure out, do I have a good idea? And if you just break things in bite-sized little steps with momentum, before you know it, you've started a company. And I think it's one of the easiest ways to like really rationally be able to create courage. Just break the courage down into bite-sized little steps. And on the emotional, I think so much like when I think of like courage, right? It's like, it's more expressive out, like, oh, courageous, like, ah. And I think part of courage is really letting people in and being willing to let people in to help you. And going back to that point of walking into situations, not trying to prove yourself with courage, but really trying to improve yourself by letting them in to bring them along with you, but also for them to help you to get to where you're going.
Oh man, so good. And they're both great. And I guess I should have done this at the top of the show, but I want to thank you for always letting me in. It started on a boat ride with the Summit guys, if you remember that.
Oh, wow.
You know, if you think about it, that's how long ago I think I stumbled into you. Or it might have been an email through LinkedIn
Hold
that I'm
on,
writing a book.
This is my daughter. This is Anya. This is Matthias. This is Ryan. You're on a podcast right now.
Hi, how are you?
They're
Wait.
off to Detroit to visit my parents. I have to give them a quick hug goodbye to say goodbye.
Which one's going to NYU?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Are you going to NYU?
Yes, I am.
So we've created this episode. 92% of it is for you, for real. You're going to have to listen to this episode.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Have fun with the parents.
Thank
All right.
you.
Gramps.
Take good care of Grandma and Grandpa.
We will. Bye.
All right.
Father.
Keep me posted. Love you.
There's zero chance I'm cutting this from the episode.
Yeah.
0% chance. All right, man.
Bye.
It's great to see you. Congrats on everything. Keep doing what you're doing. And man, here's to keeping joy on high.
I appreciate it. Always a pleasure. And let's do this again before too many Mondays go away.
Deal.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.